Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to United View. Welcome to another video with Dr. Andre, where we take you through the latest injuries at Manchester United. And actually, I don't take any pleasure in saying the latest injuries at Man United, but we do seem to have quite a lot, and we do get Dr. Andre in here to literally walk us through in layman's terms what's going on. As always, this video is brought to you by Oxford Natural and Gowan Life. Dr. Andre, thanks for joining us once again. I have to say, your explanation of the Sandro Martinez injury was really impactful, really insightful. So many people enjoyed that breakdown of understanding that type of injury more. So that's brilliant.
Well, we're trying to do the same thing today with the ankle and make it so simple, everyone understands. That's what we're aiming for.
Exactly. But before we get into that, you guys do know that our Optimum journey, in terms of with you guys, we signed off on that, myself and KG. Of course, we continue to use the product because, like I said, it's part of a lifestyle. It's not a crash course. But there is another product that we're going to be looking more in depth when we come up to
the Audley.
Come up to Audley, come up to the clinic.
Yeah.
In the next week or so. But this is about the digestive system. This is digest.
Yeah.
I do know bits about how important your digestive system is, probiotics, etc., etc. But talk us through digest very, very quickly.
Yeah, so you've got pre, post, and probiotics, and we'll go into detail about what they actually mean.
Yeah.
But essentially in one capsule, you have the bacteria that you need to repopulate the gut with healthy bacteria, because there are good ones and there are bad ones. You've got a gut protector, and you've got the food that the bacteria need. And it's designed in a special capsule that takes 3 hours to break down, so it gets to the large bowel, so it breaks out where it should. You buy these sugary probiotic drinks over the counter, they get destroyed in the stomach. You're just burning your money in that sense. So we've tried to design it, the best bacteria, the best gut protection, and the best delivery system in the Digest and Digest Plus.
So in terms of, and I know again we'll look at this in more detail at the clinic, but in terms of how that correlates with players and the importance for players with their digestive systems, what sort of relationship is there in terms of the pros who need to make sure they're on top of their gut as well?
Well, that's what I mean. One big thing if you go abroad, what's the first thing? Which one of your systems goes wrong first? Normally it's your gut that goes wrong, isn't it? Because it's a new bacteria, new issues, new strains.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, you eat something.
That's the first thing. So you're very sensitive to changes, and players travel around the world, left, right, and centre. So if you can have these good, healthy gut buddy bacteria on a regular basis, this gives stability. And again, absorbing nutrients. You're going to eat a good diet, but you've got to absorb it properly. So again, the gut lining protector in there is very important too. And generally, a gut that works healthy generally means your brain is healthy too. There's a gut-brain axis, and one helps the other. So if you can get a good settled gut and good settled bowel action, then you're generally happier in yourself.
Yeah, well guys, like we said, we've got that coming to you guys very, very soon. Of course, all natural ingredients, but we will bring you that when we get up to the clinic. But today's video is about Amad Diallo. Actually, he doesn't really go by Diallo anymore. He is just Amad. He took the Diallo out, to be fair. But Amad's injury, he had an ankle ligament injury that required surgery, and the initial thoughts and initial prognosis was that he would be out for the rest of the season. We then heard from Ruben Amorim in the last press conference at the time of recording this that actually wouldn't rule him out of the whole season. Probably thought that, but now we're seeing something else. So ankle ligaments, that's what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, a very, very common injury. I imagine most people have suffered a sprain. You ever sprained your ankle?
Loads of times.
Seriously?
In basketball, I broke both my feet playing basketball, left and right, actually. But both via the same impact, coming down and breaking the bones in the foot on the top there from excess that. But in terms of the regular sprain, couple of weeks, you might need a bit of a bandage and it's all right. Then I'm guessing, obviously, up to the more severe ones, which is like what Amad's got when you could need surgery, etc., etc. So I think near enough everybody in life, walking up and down the stairs, dodgy paving slab, didn't miss the step. We've all sprained our ankle.
That's right. Yeah, it's very
so common.
Well, it is actually quite easy to do.
Yeah.
Mainly because the ligament that we're talking about, they're tiny. They're about the size of a postage stamp. So, And this is the common misconception, is that it's the ligaments that keep us upright, that stop us from falling over. The ligaments are the alarm. Okay, so when the ligament is stretched, the alarm is picked up by the muscles, and the muscles then contract to stop you falling over. And it's when that process is overcome by sudden massive force, and we'll show you on some pictures. So when the ankle turns in too much, the ligament stretches, tells the muscles, I'm stretching here, and they don't come to help. The ankle then keeps turning, and the ligament tears. But it is tiny. It's just this tiny little alarm. And when it goes, it's painful. You remember, I remember doing it the first time ever. I was running for a bus, okay? Oh. And it was a packed bus stop, like 3 different schools, everyone there. I ran, I hit the curbstone, rolled the ankle, screamed on the floor, and everyone just like wet themselves laughing, like 3 different schools.
That's the worst. And
you try and hide it, but you get pain straight away.
Yeah.
And because you've torn the ligament, it will bleed, so it'll puff and swell.
Swelling, yeah.
You get some bruising which tracks down over the foot, and you can't really put weight on it straight away. It's just too painful.
Well, you get that in between bit where sometimes you fear the worst, because you know when they're like, you might have to get an X-ray or you might have broken your ankle. Then it turns out it's a severely sprained ankle. Yeah. Until that swelling goes down, I do know that it's very difficult to work out exactly what you've done, apart from obviously high level scanning. Okay. Talk us through this then, with Ahmad, with what you think's gone on here, because he has had surgery. So I want to talk about, your average sprained ankle footballer. You see them, some studs get cut in the ground and ankle goes over. Sometimes they give it a little whirl around, they'll be all right. Then maybe they're out for a week after the game because it seizes up. Sometimes it's instant, get me off, can't move it, oh my God, agony. Then sometimes that same movement that leads to a sprained ankle, I see lead actually to a broken ankle. Just talk us through those types of differences.
So whenever we say sprain, what we're saying is that the normal structure of the ligament has been not just stretched, but in some way torn.
Right.
Okay. So that's what a sprain is. In a muscle we say strain. When it comes to a ligament we say sprain. But in order to tear it, it takes force. Then fibers rip. And if you tear just a tiny few fibers, we call that grade 1, and that can knit together, fairly simple. That's a week, couple of weeks out.
Right.
Okay. So
is that the most common?
That's the most common one that you do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Ankles hurt and can't put too much weight on it.
But the same mechanism. Roll the ankle with greater force, greater body weight. You don't save it. You might then tear into a grade 2 tear. More bleeding, more disruption of the ligament, a lot more pain. So that's grade 2. Then you get the grade 3, where you tear the entire thing. Often less painful.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Why would it be less painful?
Because the sensation? Because you've torn the things that give you the sensation.
Yeah, because you've torn everything, and the nerves have gone.
Yeah.
The nerves have gone. The nerves have completely been obliterated. As long as you remember, it's a stretch ligament. It's designed to be a warning sign and create this sensation when it's stretched. So if it's torn and stretching, it'll let you know about it. When you tear it completely, all the nerves get torn, all the nerves are torn, and there's nothing to give you a signal of pain. So really the total ones are less painful.
That is incredible.
But what can happen sometimes is the ligament is remember, ligaments is bone to bone.
Yeah.
And if the ligament is very, very strong, and maybe a bit stronger than the bone itself, the ligament won't tear in the ligament, it'll pull a piece of bone off. And that may be what you're talking about with your injuries, where you sprain the ankle, the ligament holds steady, which is quite good, but cracks off the bone that actually inserts onto, and that's how you get
I was in a cast for 6 weeks, And
we call those avulsion fractures, so the actual piece of bone comes away. And that piece of bone can just glue back on by itself, just with keeping off your feet for a few weeks, it'll glue together. And again, the ligament itself will also heal together. But a ligament is a special type of collagen 1. And when you tear it, you can't heal it with collagen 1, you heal it with collagen 3, scar tissue.
Right.
So a scarred ligament, not quite the same as the original ligament. So every time you do this sprain, you replace collagen 1, the perfect one, with collagen 3, the scar type. And over time, that makes the ligament a bit weaker. So what we assume with his injury, and it is always just assumptions, is that it may be one of the complete tears, whereby you can't guarantee that those ends find themselves and glue together. It can happen.
Is that the one where you're more likely to require surgery for it then? Because, like ankle ligament, which depending on what grade it is, they don't need it. It's sort of maybe 4 weeks out, etc. You don't have to do this. It's just relax, rest it, letting it back together. What is the point where they decide, actually, Ahmad, you're going to need either the quickest way to deal with this, or the best way, actually, not just about speed, the best way for you to make sure you're back like you was, is to actually operate, or, like you said, are you left with no choice because you go, like you say, he's probably done the one where it's obliterated, you have to get surgery.
Yeah, and the key, it goes back to what we did before with the knee issue and the cruciate, is stability. And that's always the watchword, is what's a stable injury. And if you tear the ligaments and you've lost that warning sign, that's gone, lost that connection, then really what you're looking at is no stability. So no stability, you've got to operate, because the ankle won't be rigid, stiff in the way you want it to be. It'll be loose and floppy, and this causes wear and tear and more injuries of a different kind. So if the ligament is torn, and to a point whereby it will never return and stick together itself, you've got to get in there and operate on that to give you new stability. In a sense, that's what happened. If it was a simple grade 1, grade 2 injury, no need for that. Classic rehab does that. It must have been a particular violent injury that probably blew the ligament, and hence it had to be repaired and stitched
I know
together.
you've prepared some images, actually, so show us some images because it's always better when you see these things visually, isn't it? To kind of see that basic.
So yes, so we can all visualise the idea of the grade of injury. So the ligaments, normally we have it. There's 3 here that we're showing. This is the outer aspect of your ankle. What's interesting is when you roll your ankle, roll your ankle again for us there.
Just
okay.
like that. I can really feel it.
Can you roll it the other way?
No, actually, not really.
No, you can't, can
not
you?
like no. My whole knee has to come across.
That's right, because the inner ligament is like 3 fingers. It's massively powerful. You almost can't tear it. You break the bone before you'd actually tear the ligament. Okay, so but that's because really, if you go back to when we would climb trees and things, we'd need the feet to go that way. Okay, and also this gives you, I mean, you have great stability on the inside, more play on the outside. This is the outer aspect of the ankle. So what we see, we have 3 ligaments there, okay? Here they're shown torn, not intact, but that's the intact ligament. Normal, healthy, nice confluence from start to finish. A bit of bone there, that's your healthy ligament. So grade 1, you've overstretched it, you've torn a couple of fibres, but that, as you can see, that's going to heal pretty uncomplicated in a few weeks. Bit of scar tissue goes in there, links it together, easy job done there.
So you just leave that, the body will heal itself with those ones?
Totally, totally. That's a bit of rest. The body, weirdly,
maybe a couple of pain.
The second you have the injury, the body senses it's injured. It sends stem cells from the marrow all the way here, and they will then accumulate and become scar tissue as we need them to.
That's insane how we just heal ourselves, sometimes.
Now, a bigger one, okay? This one may be a tiny bit of swelling, okay? But not major. This grade 2 is more of a rip, as you can see. We've got this big defect here, okay? That's crazy painful. You probably find it hard to weight bear with that one. It would bleed like crazy.
On the inside?
On the inside, on the outside, because again, there's blood supply in the ligament. So you tear it, it bleeds. Now this is going to take some weeks for the scar tissue to come in here, okay? Initially what it will do is it'll form a lot of wire wool, okay? It'll send loads of scar tissue into there, okay? And when you rehab, you must then put the ankle through movements, which are the normal movements, gently, and then the scar tissue will align according to the lines of stress that you put through.
Oh, so it's basically like, and excuse my terminology if it's completely not, but this is how my brain's processing what you're saying. Like loads of just like spaghetti everywhere, spaghetti junction, then it starts to like take each piece of spaghetti and then align them properly.
That's right, So the body will, if you then put proper forces through this, so if you put the up and down forces, and if you side to side forces, this wire wool, the bits that aren't needed will be taken away, and all that's left behind is the useful stuff.
Right.
This is why when you get an early ankle injury, it's safe to stretch it by pointing down and turning in, pointing down and turn in. This way you give the feedback the ankle needs.
Is that why they do that? Because you know when I've hurt my ankle, I've done it, the first thing a physio would do, and sometimes that could just be my friends who aren't qualified, I'm not going to lie to you on a football pitch, can you move it? And you go, no I can't, and that restriction of movement that you get starts to make you understand the severity.
But that's more diagnosis. So if you point your foot down and in, and that's crazy painful, we know it's this ligament, the anterior talofibular ligament. That's the most common one. So that's the more diagnosis.
Yeah.
But in the rehab stage, you don't want to leave the foot just doing nothing. This is good for people at home who want to rehab better. Rather than doing nothing with the foot, from day one, you want to point it, okay, and turn it in. Point it and turn it in. This gives the feedback we need so you make a stronger scar, okay? And that's part of the rehab idea. Now, a grade 3, what we're thinking maybe he suffered is grade 3. Honestly, it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
It's straight through.
It's gone.
Okay, okay. Now, you can't heal that. You can't rely on scar tissue to come in. I mean, where's it going to start? Okay, you need those ends to come together. That can happen sometimes, but normally these ends will fold over, one there, one up there. They're never going to find each other. So then, I don't know if Josh can take us to the previous one, So you might then have to do some sort of clever surgery. So you rip the
Sorry, just before you do it, is this what you are envisaging? Ahmad's had a surgery that would be similar to this?
Yeah, I'm assuming this is what would the surgery be?
Yeah.
Okay, can you sew those ends together? You probably could do, but would it have any real strength? Maybe not. You might need to put something of an artificial element here, and then screw that in there. Okay, like so. Make it look like a screw.
Yeah.
Okay, so something new that maybe allows movement to not be excessive there. Okay, so there is a mechanical thing there, so the foot won't go as far as you are worried about, an injury and causing other injuries, so therefore that's the surgical idea.
So in terms of Ahmad, and I know, again, shoot me down if this is wrong, could that affect him, like his movement? Like what he relies so much on is his change of direction, is his quick feet, is his flexibility, is his agility. Yeah. By putting some, restrictive bits in there to stop that happening again, or to or to lessen the chances of it happening, could that have a direct sort of impact on his actual ability to move the ball?
It shouldn't do it at all. Okay.
Right.
What we're trying to avoid is
just joint specific.
We're just trying to avoid re-injury. He's already blown the ligament there. You don't really have to repair these ligaments, weirdly enough. You could leave that. The key is the muscle, okay, that comes down here, okay? And it's called the peroneal muscle, and it's the most important aspect of the injury. It's not actually the ligament repair, it's the muscle rehabilitation. Wow. The muscle does all the work. This ligament, can that ligament really support your whole body weight on its own?
Yeah.
No way. You need a big muscle for that. The peroneal muscles, that's what you need. So what happens is that this withers when you're injured, and you have to rebuild it over time. But once that's rebuilt and properly coordinated, this here is just a nice artificial way of minimizing excess motion. I mean, really, really excess motion, so it doesn't cause other issues or premature wear and tear in there. Because you don't want this bone hitting that bone all the time. You need something to protect against it. So this is going to make it more stable than the unstable tear. And then you rehab the muscle, and that really is the key. Now, when you recovered from your ankle injury, did it go easy, or did you find that you rehabbed, returned, and then maybe turned it again? Did you find it was...
To be fair, I was all right. I didn't have, but then, like I said, I didn't have an operation. I was just in a cast for 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. Fiberglass cast, and then they, cut it off after a while. And then because I hadn't walked in so long, nearly a couple of months, it was really weak. Mm-hmm. So putting my foot down and trying to get the strength was like, oh, then it was again, after a good few weeks weren't allowed to run on it. Had to have a bit of physio to just take it slowly and go through the different physio, sort of get my ankle, go through the different movements to build up that strength. Then you start sort of doing weight bearing stuff on the court. I was playing basketball at the time, so weight bearing stuff, and before you could go into any sort of high impact and running and jumping. Yeah,
because this muscle here will wither, okay? In those weeks when you're off your feet, the muscle goes from being this thick to about this thick, okay? So it has to be rebuilt, because that is the main protector. So this is what we call proprioception and rehabilitation, getting that strength back and that coordination so the muscle starts to recognize the stretch and pull appropriately. So one of the big issues there is re-injury from muscle weakness. Yeah. But in his case, he'll be a strong lad. He'll get his strength back very, very quickly. Yeah. So hopefully with this new addition of something artificial, it will prevent repeated injuries and premature wear and tear. Shouldn't affect his ability to be a player, be quality or whatever, because this is only trying to prevent the most excessive movements, not every movement, just the most excessive movement.
And lastly on this, for him to be coming back potentially before the end of the season, as the manager said, he didn't say he will be. He said, I don't want to say too much, but don't rule it out. When initially it was thought that it was ruled out. Is that common in terms of sometimes you look at that straight away and you go, that's a complete tear, we need to get some surgery. Tell you what, forget this season. And then post-surgery, sometimes these strains you're talking about and the muscle withering and it needs to get back stronger can happen at a quicker rate than you anticipated. Is it still a good idea to, if that has happened, would you recommend he is ahead of schedule, but you know what, still just keep him out just to make sure? Or do you go with what you're seeing? Actually, this is stronger than we thought, then let's push that, let's go with that.
Yeah, well, what's the nice thing about this sort of surgery, because you've taken off the weak human stuff and replaced it with like sort of Terminator new stuff.
Metal.
Those things don't need time. Okay, those things don't need time to settle in and to adapt because they're just simply static, they're just equipment. So he'll be fine now to return. The key is just with the rehab. Once you've got over the initial cuts and stitches, etc., you're looking at the actual repair of the muscle strength. But there's nothing, again, with the cruciate, remember how long that was because we had to wait for the tendon to become a ligament. It's a different thing. This is already, completely different. This is just like, he's like a robot part of his ankle now, which is good to go, get the strength around it, and then he's off. So it's not impossible that he gets back end of season. It's
fascinating, really, when you hear about all these injuries and you remember just how much like screws and pins and things that can just be in your body. Like when you get patched up, when you play a professional sport of any type of kind, or especially impact sports, that it is all right to, you got your pin in there, you got your this in there, your shoulder joint, they might put something in there, or there's so many, like you say, that Terminator vibe, it is so normal, like in professional sports, and like you say, in fact, makes it stronger than it was before. Yeah. Can easily happen. So, no. Dr. Andre, thank you very much.
Can I say one last thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It's if anybody has a recurring ankle sprain. It's such a common injury, and it's the blight of many an amateur career. The key is if you feel that your ankle is still turning over, even though it's been some months since the injury, just go on Amazon, okay, buy a resistance band, costs about £4, okay. It comes like a little roll, okay. You cut off a piece, you tie it, so you tie it around your feet, okay, like a knot, okay, and all you do is that, okay, with your feet against resistance. This will build up the muscle, the perineal muscle here over time, and you can try it double and gradually increase the power. And what you find is that after, seriously, a few weeks, ankle sprains don't come back again. Okay, it's ever so simple. So just buy a resistance band, tie around your feet, push your feet out, push it. Within a few weeks, that recurring ankle thing that's been killing you will probably have gone.
Guys, look at that. Free medical advice. It isn't just what's going on with Ahmad and Lenny Yoro and Alessandro Martinez. This can help you guys at home. Don't say we don't help you, This is for everyday life, whether you're playing Sunday league football, Saturday league football, semi-pro, or right up to, professional level. Or if you just don't play football or any sports at all, just if you've got bad ankles. So, yes, big up to you, Dr. Andre. Of course, we will be back very soon up at the clinic where we take a look at this product in more detail from Oxford Natural, the brand new Digest capsules. It'd be really interesting to get a grasp of that because, there's so many people who have problems with, digestion and IBS and these types of things, the gut. So really looking forward to that. And I hope you guys have found that very interesting and informative regarding Ahmad. And hopefully we do see him again before the end of the season in the right context and it's not rushed. So hopefully he's back. Big shout out to Dr. Andre and we'll see you again on the next one.